Hey, what's up, Wendy? Thank you for joining me today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Cool, cool. So I think I met you one time, maybe just a hello in Oakland. There was a rap conference going on, like there was a panel thing. I forget what it was called. It was Mr. Fab was there, a bunch of people, and a lot of people like to hug you when they see you. You love to hug you.
I do.
I noticed.
Very huggable. I feel like as a community, we don't hug each other enough. I feel like sometimes hip hop, especially artists, they come from a place where they don't get a lot of love. So I try to give a lot of love because I think that's important in life. I love that
Right.
you notice that. Most people don't notice that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was dope. Yeah, it's important, right? Because we call music a
Yes.
vibe industry, right?
Yes.
It's all about the energy of the people you want to work with. That's what makes things kind of work out.
Yes. And it's all about
Oh, by the way, there's there's always Eminem clips that go viral and stuff, but there's one that's been circulating around where M mentions you bought his plane ticket to get out to LA.
Yes.
Have you seen that going around? It's been like lately it's been going around.
Yeah, it was
So
on it's an interview that he did with Mike Tyson.
That's right.
I did an event called Rap Olympics. I had been shopping M's deal for 9 months and I just couldn't get any labels to show interest because he was a white rapper. And it was also at a time when the industry as a whole was kind of going from lyrics being the most important part to the more flossy kind of rap, the Puff Daddy shiny suit era, the Death Row era. So it was really more about painting a story and the beat than it was about lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And the labels they weren't excited about a white rapper and they weren't excited about a white lyrical rapper on top of that. So I did an event called Rap Olympics just to bring attention to lyrical artists and get a lot of coverage. And my goal was to showcase him along with other lyricists and get some news coverage for lyricists. And it worked. But the great thing was that Dre signed him from that. So it was kind of a win for everybody. Yeah.
That's amazing. What's your relationship with M like now? Do you guys still keep in contact?
No, I haven't spoken to him in over a decade. I'm not doing this to stay friends with rappers. Like that's not my goal to befriend rappers. My goal is to help people get to the next level. So once they get there, I'm on to the next underground, underserved artist, helping them get there.
Okay, right on. So this is a perfect segue. I've seen the Instagram clips that you've been posting with the Latin guy with the ponytail.
Kingpin.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I watch them all, and even as a close observer, I don't know what your company does specifically. Can we explain what you do?
We can.
Specifically?
Yes, we do two different things. I have a not-for-profit organization called Rap Coalition, and Rap Coalition pulls artists out of bad deals. And then we also educate artists about what's fair and acceptable in the music industry. And then my for-profit company is called Power Moves. And Power Moves helps artists that have investors on board. And by investor, it takes $250,000 for us to do what we do to help build somebody's career from starting out as a rapper to making money as a rapper. It's funny, inside of the company.
Okay, let's jump right there.
Okay. Go ahead.
If we got an artist that has $250,000,
yes,
what are you doing that they couldn't do themselves, or
absolutely,
or even not themselves? What are we doing with that budget? Where's that going? How do we get ROI on that investment?
Got it. So it really depends on the artist, because everybody has a different market. But what we do is we figure out what the market is for that artist, not only geographically, but who is their prime fan, who is their target audience. And then we put together a marketing plan. We then start targeting the potential fans, and we do that through digital advertising, influencer marketing, publicity, ads, promotional tours, radio in some cases. It really depends on the artist. And then we just start putting out music.
Okay.
And every artist is different. Some artists, we put out a song every other week. Some artists, we put out a song once a month. We shoot content for that artist and edit it, and then chop it up for every social media platform so that they have a presence on every social media platform, from Instagram to Facebook to Twitter to Threads to TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Reels. So we make sure that wherever that artist can be consumed, they have a presence and they have followers and a fan base. We do everything organically. We don't buy views. We don't buy likes. We just target the market based on the artist's image, and we stay on brand.
Okay. So you're flooding every social outlet possible.
Yes.
What other outlets in today's game do you find relevant? Where
we build community.
MTV is probably not relevant anymore.
No, we build community because community is now what matters for artists. So Discord channels matter. Twitch matters. Community phone, super phone. We use all of these different techniques to put the artist one-on-one in front of their fans, and to put the fans in a group with other like-minded people that want to talk about the artist. So we might have a Discord channel or a Twitch channel, depending on it. It's all about marketing. It depends on the brand of the artist, the type of music. So it's not one size fits all. It's what's best for each individual artist. And then we start building that community. If you're a fan of LaRussell's doing an amazing job of this in real life. So what he's doing is he built a backyard event where he has people come to watch him perform. But the joy of that is when all of those people get together, they all have a connection with LaRussell. So it's like-minded people coming together in celebration of the artist. That's what we do digitally and in real life.
Okay. So he's almost like a party promoter in a way.
Because he is the party. He is the party. Yes, you bring people together that it's sort of like if I'm going to work myself, you know how I'm all about independence and do for self and keep ownership of your music. So if I have a Twitch channel or a Discord channel, I'm going to be talking about that because that's my brand. So I'm going to be in a room and it's going to attract that think the way that I think. And then we're all in that room talking about how to move forward, how to build our brand, how to become millionaires. And we're doing that because we're all like-minded. If I were a rapper, that would be my brand. Every rapper has an image and a brand. So the key is to bring together the like-minded people that feel a connection so that they can all come together in celebration of my music. I'm not a rapper, so for me, it's a celebration of the knowledge. I want people to come to my community to learn as much as they can and leave with the ability to do for self.
Okay.
Does that analogy
now,
work?
if we got hot music, I got it. Good. Now, if we got hot music, then do we build a world around that music So there's
Yes.
talking points.
You
There's
build,
talking points that go along with it.
yes, you build the world, and the music is what keeps people in the world. Your image, your personality, and who you are is what brings people. Back in the 90s, somebody would hear a song and want to know more about the artist. In 2023, people want to know about the artist and then go find the music. So it's a little bit opposite of the way that it used to be. So we're building community, not just for people that hear music, like it, and want to learn more about the artist, but people that hear about the artist, want to learn more about them, and then go discover the music.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
And then we put music on all the platforms where people discover the music. So for example, people don't really go to a concert to discover a new artist. They go to the concert, like if they're a Drake fan, they go to a Drake show to hear Drake. They don't care about the opening acts. Every now and again, you'll hear an opening act that you really like a lot, and you might go and research them. But for the most part, that's not how people discover music. People discover music on SoundCloud, YouTube, and TikTok, and Instagram to some extent. So we make sure that we're doing stuff on the discovery platforms for people to discover music. And then on the platforms where people are consuming music, which is like Spotify, Apple, that's where we're doing the stuff for the fans, the people that already know who the artists are.
So would you almost create a social presence before releasing a single?
Yes, always. Always. Hands down. It's the first thing we start doing. The first thing we do for artists when they come to us is we set up their platforms for them to make sure that when the money comes, it comes to them. So we register for them for BMI, ASCAP, Sound Exchange, blah, blah, blah. Then we get them distribution, but we start working their social media long before we start putting out music so that people are already kind of familiar with them. I don't want to drop music when somebody's only got 200 followers on Instagram. That doesn't help anybody. I want to get them up into the thousands before we start dropping music. And remember, people.
So what kind of stuff would you have them drop on social?
It depends on their image. It's very hard for me to sit here and explain what type of content because it all depends on the marketing plan. So if somebody's a street artist,
can you talk about somebody you're working with now?
I would not, no.
Can you talk about somebody you're working with now?
I would not talk about somebody that I'm working with now, no. There's no upside for me to do that. But I can give you an example. Like if somebody is a street artist, we're going to put them on social media and we're going to have them talk about their life. We're going to have them talk about maybe pitfalls of being on the streets, or have them talk about where they're from. Do they have children? Are they married? What do they do all day? Do they like video games? Are they an athlete? So we talk about who they are and what they do. If somebody's a little bit more of a pop
that's cool.
artist, if they're a little bit more pop, we're going to talk about their lifestyle and their friends, and we're going to show you glimpses into their life. So we might have cameras tag along with them for a day, and we can't really do that with an artist on the streets for obvious reasons, but we can do that for somebody that's a little more pop. So their social media is going to reflect exactly who they are and what they do.
It's cool. It's cool. I love it. I love it. It's kind of, kind of what I've done.
Yeah. And then we're posting 3 times a day. And I think the thing that makes us valuable, and we have a little quote inside of our office, we build millionaires. Like that's really our goal, is to help artists make money with their music. It takes anywhere from a year to 2 years. It's not a quick process. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And that's why it takes so much money, because you have to remain consistent for that entire time. You can't come on strong and then disappear, and then come on strong and then disappear. Every time you disappear, it's like starting over. So you've got to remain consistent and put out consistent music for a year and a half to 2 years to 3 years. And then the money comes back in. You asked like the return on investment. The money comes back in through shows, through merchandise, and through streaming. They're the three ways that artists get paid fastest. And then of course publishing, but publishing takes a much longer time to come in. Publishing can take a year to really start coming in.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's difficult to even get everything, right?
It is. Yeah.
Like there's a lot missed.
Yes. There is.
Are you finding it difficult to do shows with the artist versus the online content?
No, not at all. We build the buzz so strong. And again, when we sit down and do the marketing plan, we figure out their target market, like the physical target market, as well as the age, demographic, et cetera. So if there's an artist, for example, based where I am, I'm in Atlanta, I know that I'm going to work Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. So I'm doing like a 5-hour driving radius, which gives me the ability to put the artist out on the road. And then we're building a buzz on the music so strong that they start to get shows within like a 6 to 9 month period, depending on the type of music. If it's an artist, like when I worked with Little Donald, he had a hit record called Do Better. So we started getting shows 3 months in. They started to come really quickly. I've worked with artists like Trouble, for example. And Trouble shows didn't start coming until about a year after we were putting out music, because he didn't have a hit record. He just had a body of work. You can't really just put out one song and make money or become famous. It doesn't work like that. I know in looking in at it, it appears that that's what it is, because we all kind of know an artist for one song. Ice Spice is a great example. She put out Munch and people kind of discovered her from that song, but there's a lot of other music that she has put out. You know, Coi Leray put out a lot of music before her song took off. So the goal is to put out a body of work, remain consistent in your releases. And then when somebody discovers you, they're going to go and look in at all of your music, and you might have 10 songs or 20 songs. And what most people do is they listen to your body of work to decide whether they like you or not. And every time somebody streams a song, you're getting paid 0.005 cents. So if you've got 10 songs, you're making 10 times that. Okay. Very good. Now, you mentioned Ice Spice. Do you know anything about her situation? Because she seems kind of like a social artist, for like a social media artist versus like a straight rapper. I think she seems like a social media artist because that's probably where you first heard about her. For me, she's not, because I first heard about her through her manager. Her manager is a friend of mine. So I watched her come up. I watched her do shows in New York. I watched her move around at events. I watched her perform. So even though, yes, she's very heavy on social media and she's kind of cute. So people gravitated towards her because it's like, oh, she's cute, you know. Let me go. Here's a little ass poking out. Let me go take a look at her, you know, her Instagram feed or whatever. So I think that's why people feel like certain artists are social media artists, because we all consume social media. You know, back in the day, we didn't have social media, as I'm sure you know. So we would hear about artists on the street. Well, social media is the street in 2023. Okay. Now, with that being said, what old school techniques are still working, and what are you seeing that that people think works that they should stop doing? Oh, I love that question. So the things that still work are street promotion. We wrap entire clubs here in Atlanta We wrap trash cans in the hood. Like, we still do the street work that we always did. I still put artists out on promo tour where they're going to a different city within the target market every day for maybe 30 days. So they're hitting, 28 or 30 different markets day after day. So we still do all of that. The things that I have found that do not work. You had another question?
What are they doing on the street tour? What are they handing out?
They're handing out.
How are they interfacing with the public?
They're handing out postcards. They're hanging posters. We use a lot of QR codes on our stuff so that somebody can hit it with their phone and it takes them either to the website or their merch site, whatever our focus is for that campaign. And every campaign is different. We're really running a string of different campaigns to attract attention. And then we almost always have the artist out there because it's like running for office. When you can get the artist in front of people and people can actually interface with them, kind of like what you and I are doing right now. It's like we build a connection, we build an interest in each other, and it makes us want to then go find out more about that person. Oh, you asked me what doesn't work. So what doesn't work today, when you're brand new, it does not work to have features from famous artists because nobody cares. They just think you bought the feature. It doesn't work to get discovered by getting on a bigger artist tour and hoping that people find you because you're the opening act. That doesn't work. Showcases don't really work. They're great for honing an artist's skill, but they don't get artists signed. They don't help build fans. People don't really discover music live. They do with rock, they do with R&B, but our focus is really rap and pop music. So for us, the clients don't really get discovered by performing.
Okay. Don't you think a feature would work for streaming, for increasing streaming though?
It does when people know who you are, but if I put out a song and nobody knows who I am and I feature somebody famous, they're going to think that I bought that. They're not going to care. If I build a little bit of a buzz and then I put out a song with somebody that's known, they're going to care because they're going to figure, oh, she's starting to really pop. Let me go check out the song. But it doesn't put enough eyes on you when nobody knows who you are, unfortunately. If it were that easy, I would call in favors from my friends all the time.
Now I feel it. Now, what's your opinion on indie versus major situations?
They both have their pluses and minuses. So I think that for somebody that doesn't have the entrepreneurial spirit, or they don't have the proper budget, and it takes a minimum of 150,000 for me to break an artist. So I'm not saying other people can't do it for less. I'm saying that my experience, that's what it takes. A minimum of that. It actually takes more, but when the money comes in, you have to put it back into your career. So if somebody doesn't have that budget and they don't have the grind and the willingness and the entrepreneurial spirit, and they don't know what to do or who to hire, then you almost have to sign to a label. So I think labels have a purpose. They've got machines behind them. They've got deep pockets. They've got staff that know exactly what they're doing and how to win. But for me, I prefer indie because even if you're brand new and you want to sign to a label, the more leverage you have, the better your deal is going to be. So for me, it almost pays to start out independent no matter what and build a fan base before you start talking to labels or before you start making a decision to sign to a major label.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a tricky one because people think they have the hustle, but being independent, it's like if you have a mood swing on a Tuesday, it's like you lose that day.
Sometimes I have a
And I
mood
think
swing on a
people get
Tuesday and lose that day. Yes, it's true.
yeah,
Very
you
true.
know. And I think people get
also,
excited or they kind of fool themselves a little bit when people
yes,
say like, "Oh, you got to be that hustler." It's like they're like, "I am that hustler." It's
I
like,
am that
you're
hustler. But
really
they don't know
not.
what that means. Exactly. They don't know what that means. I think that's probably the most challenging thing about the music industry, because you can't just look in and figure out what to do. And it's an arena where there's so many sharks and so many snakes that if you don't know exactly who to hire, you could really lose a lot of money in this industry. And
Yeah.
I think that's really our biggest value. And this is not a sales pitch for me. And I certainly acknowledge that there's, many, many other people out here that can help people be successful. I'm not the only route, but I think our value is we've been doing this for so long and we know what to do and what not to do. And we know who to hire and who not to hire. It's very important who you come through the door attached to. If you come through the door attached to somebody that's not well respected, it's going to be very hard to get everybody in the industry to rock with you. And there's a point where an artist starts to grow where you need everybody rocking with you. You need everybody saying, okay, Ice Spice is the new it girl. Coi Leray is the new it girl. Little Tyler is the new it rapper. Whatever is the person that's building that buzz, you really want all the DJs behind them. You want all the digital platforms to get behind them. You really want people to jump on their bandwagon. And if the artist is coming through somebody that people don't respect or somebody that's never really had success, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I'm saying it is absolutely harder.
No, you need it. You need it. Because there's times there's waves, right? So when an artist catches a buzz, it's like they jump a level, but you just jump one level. You don't jump to level 10.
No, it's like climbing a ladder.
And you kind of, and it's like when you hit like level 3, you're gonna need somebody to kind of like pull you a little bit.
And push you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it matters who that person is, because if it's somebody that's not well respected in the industry, it's just too easy for others to kind of play them to the left and say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to put my attention on this artist. I'm going to put my attention over here because this is my boy. And we all have artists that we champion. That's one of the problems with the oversaturation. There's so many of us now in the music industry that are working artists that, there's 100,000 uploads a day to Spotify. How are you going to stand out? And you can't really just watch how this works and understand. It's not like basketball where you learn the rules to the game and then you can play it. There's a million rules to the music industry, and what worked 3 weeks ago might not work today because it's ever changing and growing. Like right now, TikTok really matters. By December, it might not. I don't know. It might be Threads, it might be whatever. But everything changes and everything has its time, and you can't come through something that's no longer of value. Like, perfect example, I'm going to make an extreme comparison. In 2012, I used to break artists on blogs. So I could get Double XL to write about somebody. I could get All Hip Hop to write about somebody, and they'd be out of here. Today, I could go do that and crickets, because nobody reads the blogs. They just don't. It's not the
Wendy, I started shooting music videos around 2012. I had every vlog fucking with me. I had a video with Mr. Fab that was like, I could look on back end and see what was trending on the internet. We were like in the top 50 on the whole internet.
Wow.
Like 2 years later, it was completely different.
It was all Instagram.
Everybody was charging like $500 a post. And these were like the same vlogs that were like, send us stuff, send us stuff, send us stuff. I was like,
yes.
What happened?
They, I can answer that if you really want to know. It's the blogs. They killed themselves because they started taking $500 to post shit. And we all know that the people that have all that money to post may not be the best artists. So all of a sudden they were delivering money posts instead of talent posts, and people stopped paying attention because they're like, oh man, this blog site only posts whack shit. Let's move on to to whatever.
Right.
And then the fans started going direct to the artists. So they didn't need blogs anymore. They could go to SoundCloud. They could go to your page directly. They could follow you on Instagram. Today, they can follow you on TikTok. Once they get to your TikTok page and they like you, they can go check you out at Discord. They can become part of your community.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, so you said Discord. You said every social media outlet. Okay, so we're breaking an artist. We got them on every social. We got their Discord. Now there's
Discord's not automatic.
Thing going on.
Discord's not automatic. It depends on their image. It depends on who they are. Like I wouldn't use Discord for a rapper that smokes a lot of weed and talks about skateboarding and stuff. I would use Twitch, especially if they're a gamer. You go where your audience hangs out. So it's about the audience, not about the platform. So if Discord is the platform where my audience is comfortable, that's where I'm going to be. If it's WhatsApp, that's where I'm going to be. If it's Twitch, that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to build my community. And if it's none of them, I'm going to build it with Superphone or Community Phone and talk to them by text, like group text, but they're going to feel like it's an individual text. So I meet them where they are. It's not like everybody watching this should go start a Discord channel. That won't work, and then they'll be pissed off.
Okay. So like we just talked on the vlog thing. What I'm getting at is, what outlets do you see available? Because from what I'm seeing, it's like these socials. Yes. And then there's stuff that's like at the top, like let's say Drink Champs with Nori. And it's like, Nori's not going to have me on next week because I haven't done enough.
And Nori might not be your market. The people that watch Nori might be 35 and older. And you might be trying to reach 13 to 24-year-olds. So you may not want to be on Nori's platform anyway. It's really all about the reach. It's about reaching out to your fans. And let's just say, let's say your market is 35 and up, right? So you want to get on Drink Champs. The way you get on Drink Champs is you build a buzz. You can't get on Drink Champs and you've put out 5 songs. It's not going to work. You've got to build yourself to a level where his fan base is going to know who you are. So he's bringing you on to keep his fan base engaged. He's doing the same thing you are. The problem is his fan base doesn't really know who you are. So it's not helping him. It's helping you, but it's not helping him. He wants to do stuff.
And they can see all that on the end.
Yes.
That's cool.
So you're gonna build, in order to get to that level, you're going to do influencer marketing. You're going to build your social media. You're going to go out on promo tour. You're going to do all of these things that build a buzz and give you the leverage to get to the stuff that gets you to the next level. The truth is, if somebody goes on Drink Champs and nobody knows who they are, they're going to stop watching. So Nori loses, the artist loses, the fan loses.
Okay. I guess my real question was, what other outlets have you seen that are helping gain traction?
Influencer marketing, digital ads, like going directly to the consumer is the way that you build at the discovery level, at the brand new artist level, you run digital ads, you influencer marketing campaigns, you go out onto the road and start meeting people one by one. It's really it's like having a big basket and collecting fans and putting them in your basket one by one. And it sometimes feels like one by one when you're starting, because you may only have 2,000 or less followers on Instagram. So when you post something on Instagram, only a small percentage of your followers get to see it unless there's engagement. So you might only be reaching 5 people. But if you can bring into your franchise 1 of 5 people or 1 of 10 people, that's your goal. It's a numbers game. And I don't know what the numbers are for you as an artist, right? But it may be that I have to reach 50 people to get 1 fan for you. So if that's the case, I want to reach 500,000 to build your fan base. If you're the type of artist where I only have to reach 10 people to get 1, then I only have to reach 100,000 people. You see what I'm saying? It's a numbers game. So I can't tell you what your numbers are, but I can tell you how difficult and how much work I have to do to build your fan base. And I'm going to know that within the first 6 months of working with you.
Okay. Now, what are the requirements for you to take someone on?
They have to have great music. They have to have the budget, and they have to have a really strong work ethic. I'm old now, and I'm really tired of working harder than the artist. So I look for artists that are going to really put the work in, and the ones that are going to stay consistent, and the ones that are coachable. You know, I've had clients before where, you know, I explained to them that in the beginning, this is 90% content. Like, we've got to shoot a lot of content. We're putting out, you know, 2 to 3 posts a day on every platform. That's a lot of content. That's a lot of creation. And I've had clients that hire me and then say, nah, I don't want to make content. I don't want to do that. Well, if it's 90% of it and you're not willing to do it, how are we going to build your career? You know, so I look for people that get it, people that are coachable. And most importantly, they have to have great music. I can't make people like your music. I can make them look at you, but I can't make them like it. And I don't want to fail. You know, I've built a really awesome career. So I pay attention to what's good for me as well as what's good for the artist.
Right on. Yeah, it does take a lot of time, because I've got 3 different channels, and between editing and posting, it takes a lot of time.
Editing's
a full-time job.
It's social media is a full-time job. Making music is a full-time job. Touring is a full-time job.
Absolutely.
So if you're an artist, you've got like 12 full-time jobs. It's hard. It's really hard. I don't wish it on anybody, but I'll say this, I'm really grateful for it because it's awesome. I have the best job in the world.
It is. Right on. How about, can you talk a little bit about artists you've worked with, or doesn't have to be anyone specific, but have you seen a talented artist and their mental health got in the way of their success?
All the time. It's very stressful to do this. People expect you to be who they see you are. So if your image isn't authentic, this can really take a toll on you. And then once people discover that you're not who you say you are, it becomes a really cruel world. So this is especially true for artists who talk about like selling drugs and moving weight and flipping birds. And, you know, that's really not what they're doing. And the fans discover that, they'll call them out. If somebody's fronting like they're making a lot of money, but their jewelry is fake and everything about them is bootlegged, they're going to get called out on social media. And it's a very unforgiving world of trolls once you enter that realm. It can be very, very cruel. So yes, I've seen the music industry take a toll on people. There's artists who want to make great music that they love and they feel and share it with the world. And I've seen fans not react to that. And I see the frustration of people thinking that their music isn't good enough, whether it is or not. So it's a very demanding and difficult industry, and it really does take a toll on you. You know, we work 20-hour days, 7 days a week in the music industry. And I've been able to keep that up for 31 years, you know, plus or minus some years. There's some years where I lose my energy and I need to kind of coast a little bit. But for the most part, if you're not able to keep up that kind of pace, it's hard to compete because there's a lot of competition. It's very oversaturated out here. And there's always somebody that wants it more than you. So you've kind of got to be the person that wants it the most to win.
Right.
Great.
And there's bad luck that can happen.
Yes. And great music is not enough. You know, you could have the best songs and no budget, and people aren't going to find you. It's just too saturated out here. They're not going to hear you, discover you.
Yeah.
You really got to market and promote. And that's sad.
Absolutely. Are you seeing any, if somebody, let's say finds like, hey, being an artist isn't for me. Are you seeing any other jobs that,
yes,
that are popping up that maybe people aren't aware of right now?
I see that all the time. There's a lot of artists that might be really good at shooting content and realize, you know what, I don't need to be a rapper. Because remember, being a rapper is a young person's game. The bulk of the fans are 13 to 26. So the older you get, the harder it gets to make money in music as an artist, as a rapper. So I've seen rappers age out and say, you know what, I'm really good at shooting content. Let me take my skill set and turn it into a job, because I can still work around what I love, but I'm not going to make any money rapping. So let me shoot content for people and I can make 5,000 a week or 20,000 a week or whatever, you know? So DJs, I've seen.
Do you think,
say it again?
Do you think that's strictly like an aging out thing, or do you think it's like an energy thing?
I think it's,
because I'll tell you this.
I think it's an energy thing too.
Because I'll tell you this, when I'm getting down right now, I'm making the best songs I've ever made. But I'm like, do I want to go out at night? Not really.
Right. It gets to be a point where it's like, I really want to hang out in the club tonight. You know what I mean? So yes. And then there's also artists that make music that's so niche that they can't make real money doing it. You know, they can't find enough people in their marketplace. Remember I told you how it comes down to numbers, like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 50? Well, what if your numbers are 1 out of 1,000? What if you have to reach 1,000 people to find one person? Because maybe you're talking about, I don't know, like something that is so random that very few people can really relate to it, you know? Then maybe it's best.
Origami.
There we go. You're rapping about origami or whatever. And or origami made out of dollar bills. Let's get really finite and specific. So it might behoove you to make music as a hobby, but maybe you're great at accounting, or maybe you go to law school and become an entertainment lawyer, or maybe you don't want to go to school, but you're great at shooting videos. So you become a content creator or a music video director. There's so many jobs in the music industry, a tour manager, a manager, you know, there's so many jobs where you can be around what you love, and you can still make music as a hobby. You can still do whatever you want. You're just not going to become a household name doing it. And that's okay.
Hey, you know what? I've gotten a little bit of clout off my YouTube. If I could tell anybody who wanted to do a YouTube channel, I would tell them to do a faceless channel.
Really?
That's what I would recommend for them. Yeah.
Wow.
Totally. Yeah. Because things can change. And like you said, people expect something when they meet you. Sometimes you're not always in the mood.
Yes, I love
In the
that
city that
because
I was living in before, I was very well known. And it was like, if I'm going out to lunch, I haven't had my coffee yet.
dude,
There's already going
yes,
to be 10 people who have seen me, you know?
yes, I get that. Like for me, there's no upside in fame. I don't like it. I don't like when people recognize me because if I'm going somewhere, I'm usually like in a hurry and I'm focused on what I'm doing. And the last thing I want to do is have somebody stop and interrupt me. And almost always they're interrupting me over something that I can't help them with. Like, hey, Wendy, get me a deal. Well, I can't get you a deal because your
Right.
numbers aren't strong enough. Nobody knows who you are. Why would a
Sure.
record label invest in you? Because I'm dope. Okay, it's not about talent. It's never been about talent. So I hear you say you want something, but it's not realistic that you'll get it. And I can't deliver it. So you've just interrupted my day asking me to do something when I'm on a mission and I'm trying to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. You're just kind of slowing me down to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And
Yeah.
I don't like telling people no. I and the funny thing is, if they just put in a little more research, you can figure out how to do this. If I could figure it out, I'm not smarter than anybody else. If I can
Right.
figure it out, everybody can figure it out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a trip when, and you can kind of tell where they're at by the kind of questions they ask also.
Yes,
Or like if someone's asking you to get a deal,
they're brand new.
um, they're kind of new, right? Yeah.
If they're
Yeah.
asking me, like the questions you're asking me are brilliant because you're asking me questions based on the fact that you've already put out music. You want to know where can you expand, where can you grow, where can you excel. That shows me that you've already done the basic foundation of learning how to do this because you're trying to grow. People that don't really
Right.
know that you have to grow aren't savvy enough to ask me that because they don't know what they don't know.
Right. Well, Wendy, it changed for me. So there was a point I was putting stuff out, putting stuff out, putting stuff out. The engagement was like, let's just call it 0. Okay. And then like one thing hit and it's not like asking if it's good. People are giving me the feedback.
Got it.
So it's like the proof of concept is there. It's not really
Yes,
like if I play it for you, it's not like I'm not asking you like this is the demo, check it out. It's like, nah, this is the song that's fucking working right now.
exactly.
You know?
I
So
think you
and
have
that
to
changes
follow that up.
that
It
changes
does.
everything
It
for
changes
me.
everything.
That
But you have
changes
to
everything for
follow
me as
that
the
up.
artist when I'm creating.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Because now you want to
Absolutely.
create more
Yeah.
like that. If you have a song that's upbeat and people are loving it, you can't follow up with a ballad that's slow because people be like, what the fuck happened? Where's the upbeat guy? You know, you've got to really keep delivering what people want.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a lot of artists that don't create that way. They want to get out whatever's in them. So if they're a sad person and they make sad music, but they make one happy song that starts to work, they can't then turn around and start to make happy music. It's not authentic. It's not who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that mental
And that's a tricky thing. Absolutely. That's a tricky thing because you got to give them what they expect, but also as the creator, you kind of feel like I did this already. I want to give them left field. So it's hard
well, you
to like
can, you can't, you
know
can't,
it's hard to know what to do.
you can't swing from far left to far right. Nobody would like that. That would be like me having a conversation with you about pro-choice and then tomorrow I'm anti-abortion. You'd be like, what the fuck, Wendy? You know what I mean? Music is the same way. You can't be all the way here and then swing all the way here. You've got to give people steps. They have to grow with you. Madonna does this beautifully. Beyonce does this beautifully. Drake does this beautifully.
Yeah.
you have to give them. Do you remember when Lil Wayne decided he was putting out a rock album and how different that was? His rock music was so different from his rap. If he had done that as his second album, we would not know who Lil Wayne is. He would be a one-hit wonder from the first album. You can't go extreme. You've got to grow with your fans.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah, Drake is a master at he really knows what they want.
He does. He's also figured out who he is. And he doesn't give a fuck. And I think that I don't think you can start out not caring, but I think he's at a level where he hasn't done interviews in forever. I don't even know the last time I saw a Drake interview. His attitude is, you're going to learn about me now through my music and whatever you see on social media, because I'm not talking to the press anymore. And I love that about him. You know, he's really got an I don't care, I'm not going to promote this attitude. Either you like him or you don't. He's exactly who he is. And he's at a level in his career where he can get away with that. You can't do that as a new artist. You've got to have the recognition. You've got to stand out. But he's built a career where he can do that. And I think it's awesome.
What newer artists do you like that are playing the social media game like kind of cool? Have you caught anybody?
I don't spend enough time on social media to really answer that, but I really like Nick D. I like what he's doing. He's a pop artist. I like what Little Tyler is doing, but I didn't discover him on social media. I discovered him because somebody in my office told me about him. And then I went in to watch him and saw him grow. So I've learned who he is through social media. I learned who LaRussell was through social media. I saw what he was doing. I saw the buzz that he was building. And then I reached out to him to say, how can I help you? And here's what's funny. When I first reached out to him, I DM'd him on Instagram. That's how I reached out to him. And he sent me back a screenshot of an unanswered DM that he sent to me in 2018. And he was pissed. And I looked at it and I laughed. And that was his response to me, like, yo, I'm Wendy Day. How can I help you? His response was that screenshot. I was like, uh-oh. But what saved my ass is the fact that my Instagram account for some reason doesn't receive DMs. So you can't DM me on Instagram. I just don't see it. And I sent him back my screenshot of a post that I made saying that, like, back in 2016. So I'm like, dude, this is why I never saw it. So then he reached out and he's like, oh, okay, I thought you were ignoring me. And I'm like, no, but I would have, to be honest, because there was nothing I could do for you. When you're so brand new that nobody knows who you are and you don't have a budget, I can't help you. Nobody can help you. Got to get to a level where you've got some traction. And if you don't have some traction, you better have a budget. There are two areas where we can be helpful to people.
So what do you recommend for an artist who's things going on? But let's be real, 250 is not
realistic. Yeah, 250.
So what would you recommend? Like, let's say if you and I were to talk later and I've kind of got some things going on. How would we pitch, or would we pitch together? Or what tips could you give to me as an artist to get someone interested to then have a meeting together to where we could potentially move forward?
Right. First of all, that's not my job.
I mean, getting an investor.
Yeah, that's not my job.
That's not your job.
No, if I were going to go get an investor, I would do it for myself. I wouldn't do it for you, because why would I do it for you? But if you've got an investor, I'm happy to have a meeting with them. Like, if it's a real investor, I'm happy to have a meeting with them to explain what we do and how we do it to sort of put them at ease, because the number one reason that investors don't want to invest in music is because it's so high risk. Investors are very nervous to give money to somebody that has never done this before. And I've done this hundreds of times. Like, I've built a lot of millionaires, so it's easy for me to do it than for you to do it, right? I can't make music. I suck at that. I need you to do that. But I'm not trying to partner with people. I'm not trying to be a record label. So I'm not trying to go get money so that I can make you a millionaire. I'm trying to work with artists so that I can build the independent movement to be stronger than it already is.
Let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
To an artist who's a studio rat, and maybe it's not the most business savvy, how would you recommend they pitch an investor?
I'm not sure I have an answer to that, because to pitch investors, you've got to have some degree of charisma. You've got to have some degree of enthusiasm, and you've got to be somewhat outgoing. And they, by the way, happen to be traits of artists that are successful. So if somebody's just a studio rat, I think my advice would be to get into the industry as a writer and start helping other people make music that have the charisma and have the image and have the it factor to go out and engage an audience. Because if you're not engaging with your fans, they're not going to feel you. You know, I'm an introvert. I could never be a star. I could never be a star, but I can build them. So
I wouldn't call you an introvert.
To find your lane. What? Say it again.
I wouldn't call you an introvert, though.
I am.
I said I wouldn't call you an introvert.
I am.
Yeah? Really?
I just hide it really well. I just hide it really, really, really well. I'd rather be home in bed right now.
Gotcha.
Reading by myself.
Cool. Right on. Is there anything you wanna cover before we jump off?
No, I think we covered a lot. I think this is probably one of the best interviews I've ever done, because you really asked amazing questions. And I love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I feel like this was helpful, and I don't always feel like it's helpful when I do podcasts. And thank you.
Yeah, it was helpful for me too.
I'm so glad.
It kind of let me know that I'm actually, because we always want to be a little bit further, but it let me know that I'm kind of doing the right thing. Just need to stay in the game. You
have to stay in the game, and you have to keep doing more of what works and less of what doesn't. Would you send me a link by email to your video so I can go check it out?
Absolutely. I will do that.
Now that we have a connection, I want to check out your music. It's kind of opposite from, the 90s and the 2000s.
Right on. Cool. I want to end this right here, but stay on with me just for a second, because I have a question for you.
Okay.
That I'll cut here. Okay, so cool. Thank you for talking to me today, Wendy.
My pleasure. Okay. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Cool. Oh, where can they find you?
At Instagram, I'm at Rap Coalition, and they can go to wendyday.com, and it links to everything that I do. I've got a lot of free resources. So even though we charge a lot of money for what we do, we realize that sucks. So I have a lot of free videos. I have a podcast. I've got a book. There's a lot of information out there that we offer.
Okay, cool. Very good. Cool. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you, Wendy. That was awesome.
My pleasure.